James Conner has a new contract that will likely make him a career Arizona Cardinals. Johnny Venerable, Bo Brock, PHNX Cardinals. We're talking that. Plus, who could be next for the Redbirds to extend now? Emergency podcast. Welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star. James Conner, a career Cardinal, potentially with a new deal. Monty Ossenford getting it done. I'm Johnny Venerable. He is Bo Brock. This show, Emergency Pod, presented by our friends at Bet365. Download the app today. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Find out why, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with Bet365. Bo Brock, your reaction. We knew it was probably coming. Did we expect it this fast? JC, a career Cardinal.
Yeah, I think we thought it was going to probably happen right before the offseason. I mean, this is the sweet spot for it. You just got to, lock in, reward your players. It's always good to see good things happen to good people. And James Conner and Kyler Murray, Johnny, they are kind of the most tenured Cardinals that are leading the way for the Jonathan Gannon era. And, JG said at the end of last season that if anybody was going to buck the trend of running back production falling off a cliff at 29, 30 years old, it was going to be James Conner just because of the work he puts in on and off the field. And he continues to be super productive, one of the best running backs in Cardinals history. I know we'll get into that, but it's a well-deserved extension. It delays a couple things that people thought were inevitable that were going to happen, after as early as this season, as far as kind of a changing of the guard who's RB1. But James Conner wasn't going to relinquish that. And he has kind of the ear and the respect of the decision makers, where this is going to be a marriage that kind of goes all the way to the end of James Conner's career potentially.
Yeah, Trey Benson drafted in the top of the 3rd round out of Florida State. What does this mean for him? I think in a lot of ways, Bo, it's kind of par for the course. You think about James Conner's career early in Pittsburgh. He was drafted behind Le'Veon Bell, had time to sit, and then eventually became the guy. But this proves a couple different things, that Monty Ossenford certainly has the pulse of the team at hand. A lot of people have talked about James Conner being the heart and soul of the Arizona Cardinals. Certainly offensively, we'll talk about Budda and what this means for him in just a little bit. But I also think, for an offense right now that wants to run the football, to allow James Conner to hit free agency and to potentially leave after other teams have been burned by Derrick Henry and Joe Mixon, it makes it feel like this was a mandatory extension, and I'm happy that the Cardinals got it done.
Absolutely. And big shout out to Brian saying Bo looks like he was up all night waiting for the news to break. I wish I was aware that this was going to go down about 9 o'clock this morning. The Arizona Cardinals were going to, lock up their franchise running back until pretty much the end of his career. But no, I mean, and you're starting to see it, like the running back market, is it correcting itself? I don't know. I mean, I think it has corrected itself because it's a new era of that. Like we see Derrick Henry putting up gaudy stats, and he's on a pretty conservative deal for the Baltimore Ravens, pretty in line with this James Conner extension, to where you're not going to see big time money. Like this is big money for a running back. We saw what Saquon got this offseason as well. But as far as kind of running backs that are around the age of 30 or have surpassed the age of 30, this is what it's going to look like if they remain productive like James Conner. So it's a little bit easier, in my opinion, to get a deal done with James Conner. What does that say for other stars on this team that play other positions that are being kind of disrespected league-wide? Is there going to be an extension before the end of the season for Budda Baker? That's a debate that I think we'll have here later in the show. But as far as it, I think that the running back market corrected itself enough to where the Arizona Cardinals, James Conner's representations could find middle ground here. And both parties could be happy with the deal that was made, that they could find something that made sense for both sides.
2 years, $19 million feels like not a drop in the bucket, but for a team with the Arizona Cardinals that are projected to have over $100 million in cap space, it would be football malpractice for the Arizona Cardinals not to extend James Conner for what he means to this team on and off the field. Then you also think about, Bo, like, okay, I think to your point, the robust contracts of running backs, 4 or 5 year deals, maybe those aren't in vogue now, but I think we got too far away from the idea that running backs were an important factor in the NFL landscape. Like, I think this is the happy medium now. As Hans Schott, first friend of the program, says in the chat, the new running back market, 2 to 3 year deals, right? Yeah. And then you're just coupling them. James Conner would have played on a franchise tag, but the Cardinals had too much respect for James Conner to make him do that, right? James Conner initially signed with the Cardinals. If you remember, it was a 1 year deal from Steve Keim. That then he pivoted and got a multi-year extension. How many years was that? 3-year contract. He played out every single year. Now he couples it with another 2-year deal. And I think, again, that's the norm now. And so if you're the Arizona Cardinals, it's like, okay, James Conner's 28 years old, going on 29. He'll end this deal at 31 years old, right? Maybe his career will be over, maybe not. But we would imagine, like, if you're James Conner and you have an opportunity to finish your career as a member of the Arizona Cardinals, a couple different things are at play. Number one, you get to be a part of this new regime led by Jonathan Gannon and Amani Ossenford that should hopefully include NFC West division titles, postseason bursts, right? Reaping the benefits of all your hard work. Plus, I mean, like, I think at what point do we start talking about James Conner being retired in the Cardinals, Ring of Honor? Because I think that you couple that with what he's done off the field, it's a short list with him and, like, OJ Anderson. That's Otis Anderson. That's about it. I think this puts him directly in play for a Ring of Honor spot when he's done.
Yeah, when it's all said and done, he'll have likely 6 seasons under his belt. He's 7 yards away from hitting over 1,000 yards from the line of scrimmage again for the 4th consecutive season. He's like the 6th most productive running back in the league since joining the Cardinals as far as touchdowns goes, over 40 touchdowns in his 4 seasons. So, I mean, on average, 10 touchdowns for JC. Yeah. This is not an indictment on what they haven't seen from, the future successor to James Conner and Trey Benson. But I think they saw this as he plays such a pivotal role in the offense that it would be a little bit naive to think, hey, he's going to be, our bell cow for 2 consecutive seasons, and then we're just going to hand the baton off to a second-year guy. I think James Conner has earned and carved out that role for himself with his productivity, and then also, Drew Petzing has made him so pivotal as far as what they want to do offensively, part of that kind of Kubiak offense where you want to marry the run with the pass. I know a lot of people are saying, well, like, what's this mean for the pass game? For the length of this extension, it's still they want to continue to develop that and get it right in the right track. And they view James Conner as being the RB1 that gives them the best chance to do that over the next couple of seasons. But I like what you said. I mean, James Conner and some of these veterans that were left over that were beating Keim guy allegations and I think have done so. They get to see the other side of this rebuild, and they're already starting to see that. But they get to go into next offseason, regardless of how this season ends, with expectations and a roster that's going to be in a position going into next season to really kind of contend on paper. And James Conner gets to kind of see through what I think he helped usher out of the darkness along with Jonathan Gannon and the new regime.
What do you think this means for Trey Benson moving forward? Do you think this is an impact or an indictment of where he was at in his development? Or do you feel like this was always going to be in the works regardless of how Trey Benson looked? Because we've talked about it, Bo. The Cardinals, their MO is, well, we want to pay premium positions. We're going to talk about them paying a safety later in this show on top of just paying a running back. How do you make of that?
Yeah, I think that they realized that, it's a case-by-case basis. They had the luxury of evaluating Trey Benson in-house. I think they really like what they've seen from Trey Benson. And they saw it as kind of a win-win to where they could keep a guy who, especially with how the market had presented itself for just a couple more years, would could perfectly play out into the development of a young running back. Even if does it become more of a work share? Does it become more of a split backfield? Potentially, I think by the end of this deal, you would see that probably by the final year of James Conner's deal. You're looking at Trey Benson, maybe even before that, pushing the envelope for more carries and maybe to become that top back. But I think it gives you the ability to kind of carefully develop a guy like Trey Benson, who I think a lot of people are excited about. Look, I mean, he's going to be in year 3 of his 4-year rookie deal by the end of James Conner's deal. So, or he'll be going into his final season as far as that goes. So,
Yeah.
can you kind of start that train there, and then they extend Trey Benson before he hits his prime. That's the potential right there.
Yeah, I listed this out on Twitter, and I forgot a name. So Saquon Barkley leaves. He burns the Giants. I know he's a little bit younger. Derrick Henry, the Dallas Cowboys opt to not sign him as a free agent. That's burned the Dallas Cowboys. He's been a great player for Baltimore. Joe Mixon leaving Cincinnati. Who would have thought that was a bad decision not to re-sign him? And then there's another name. How about Josh Jacobs on Thursday Night Football, looking fantastic for the Green Bay Packers, leaving the Las Vegas Raiders? I mean, there are more examples than not now of running backs, once upon a time premier backs, leaving their team and having a second act. Like, you're telling me right now the Pittsburgh Steelers don't regret allowing James Conner to walk? Of course they do. So if you're the Arizona Cardinals, it's like, he means so much to this team and the heartbeat of the locker room. Like, it's small, it's cliche, but like, even like when we're at, training camp and you and I are on the sideline, we're taking video and we're trying to do some stuff. How many times does James Conner come up and he fist pounds the media and he gives people a pat on the back and he just does everything the right way? And he vibes with Jonathan Gannon. Jonathan Gannon and he are ride or die after a year together. And it's like, well, of course, you're going to go down swinging with your best players. You don't want to allow James Conner to leave and go to another team and be productive and be a stalwart for them, especially, and this is the most important facet, when you had the money. Like, the benefit of all these draft picks, 20 to 25 draft picks over the last 2 years for Monty Ossenfort, what does that mean? That means you can go out and say, you know what? I'm going to extend James Conner. I'm going to potentially extend Budda Baker. Sure, they're not premium positions, but they're the 1%ers that supersede that notion. And so if you're Monty Ossenfort, this is a coup for you today. It's popular with the locker room and it's popular with the fan base. We're fired up to talk about it. Everybody drop a like on this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Welcome, everybody. We're going to continue to dive into the numbers, and then around the corner, who could potentially be next for an extension. Hello, Budda Baker. That and more here on PHNX Cardinals Emergency Pod. Fired up about today, fired up about all weekend at the PHNX Locker, ALLCITY Locker. Black Friday deals are here, and Bo Brock, they are magnificent, up to 75% right now. If you go to the store.allcity.com, let's get that graphic up, Shano. Store.allcitynetwork.com. Black Friday up to 75% off. Bo, I know you picked up a couple of our premier hoodies, 30% off the entire store. But if you dig deep enough, man, oh man, you can find some gems that are basically 30 cents on the dollar right now. Perfect time to become a diehard, get a free piece of merch, and then go Black Friday shopping with our friends at ALLCITY Network. And again, you can shop across the stores, although we prefer, hey, give PHNX Sports a little love. Give PHNX Cardinals a little love. Yeah. Again, store.allcitynetwork.com. Look at all the gear to the right. It's all on sale right now. It's a Black Friday extravaganza. And speaking of on sale, we debuted it this summer, hot off the presses, the number 18 collection. Every shirt on here, 30% off, including the best t-shirt we've ever done, the Touchdown MHJ Celebration Bow.
It's beautiful. I also, if you do some digging, I sent this to Johnny, Trey McBride back in his Colorado State days. A nice little throwback. You get that for like $12. Not bad. It's store.allcitynetwork.com. tap into that Black Friday sale. Also, this weekend, you're going to be going around the valley or wherever you may live. Why don't you just stop into your Circle K, load up at America's Thirst Shop. My wife's making her way back. It's home from, of course, visiting some family for Thanksgiving. She's hitting Circle K, loading up on, of course, some Polar Pops, maybe some Frosters, all the snacks that they have in there. Maybe if it was me, I'd go with some powdered donuts. Delicious. A little snack. They've got everything. They've got something for everybody. They've got a nice little collection of trail mix now that they've got in different little varieties. You can also save big at the pump, 25 cents per gallon when you sign up, become a member of the Inner Circle free membership program. Save 3 cents per gallon every day. After that, you can hit another echelon and save 5 cents per gallon. It's plenty of other member-exclusive deals and discounts. Check it out for yourself. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details.
Looking at our friends overthecap.com, the running back market, Christian McCaffrey leads the way. You hate to see it if you're a Niner fan. Age 28 with, I would say, diminishing returns, a contract value of $38 million. He's not a free agent until 2028. Then there's a lot of Jonathan Taylor. There's some Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara. But again, the common denominator is for a lot of these guys, Saquon, 27, Kamara, 29, Joe Mixon about to be 27, or excuse me, about to be 29, Josh Jacobs about to be 27, David Montgomery. I mean, the running back position, I would say, is aging well in the NFL, Bo. Like, it's not necessary. Remember, it used to be like, get a guy on a rookie deal, run the wheels off, let him hit free agency, start over. I think we've kind of gone away from that. It's like, can we mold and develop the running back position like we do with so many other positions and then reap the benefits into their mid to late 20s?
I mean, you had so many guys that had such a short career, like the Todd Gurleys, the David Johnsons of the world, and they thought that was a product, or they kind of fell victim of a position that they play where it's just, it's so rigorous, it's so brutal that the wear and tear that you take. And, I think that those guys were a couple examples, but they happen to be high profile in the league. We're like, well, we're investing big money in the DJs and the Gurleys, and those contracts didn't age very well. Like, I'm still looking for the Instagram posts. Like, can you believe Todd Gurley's only like 31 years old? It felt like he played forever, or however old he is now. And like, we're thinking about David Johnson like he's some old man. He's also probably just around 30 years old. So you're starting to see guys figure out how to kind of weather the wear and tear there. And James Conner is a big part of that. Derrick Henry, like, as far as how they've kind of tweaked their training regimen and made sure that they're ready to go to carry the load. But it's also like, you look around the league, talk about the malpractice going on in Dallas. Like, a lot of the league adjusted very well. And they realized, like, if you've got one running back, like, you don't have a good enough running back room. Like, right. You have to have multiple guys, and you have to have versatile guys. And James Conner's your do it all. And I think you envision a guy like Trey Benson being able to carry the load as well. But you got to have some other players in there, including like your practice squad. They've got Michael Carter, who's been on there all season long. So I think the Arizona Cardinals' approach to the running back room is really where it needs to be in order to kind of get through the marathon of a season. And like, also part of this deal is he's been healthy all season long in 2024, James Conner has, but he's missed time every season before that. Like, he's going to miss time at some point during this deal. Hopefully it's just not significant at any point, but you're going to be in a good spot because you have Trey Benson, because you have Dermicado, because you have Michael Carter.
I also think, look back to how he took care of himself this offseason, the workouts with Kyler Murray, how close the relationship between those two franchise players are. And then you mentioned it, like Trey Benson, DeMarcado, they're not making any money right now. Like, you can pay a running back $9 million for the entire position group. Think about that. The total contract commitments of DeMarcado and Trey Benson and James Conner are going to equate to what? About $10, $11 million a year for a group that's pivotal, what you want to do offensively. And again, like, I like your point. The roles are only going to continue to expand, I think, for Trey Benson and DeMarcado over the time of this contract. But you need James Conner to be the stalwart to be able to guide them to where you want to be as a franchise. And I also think, at the end of the day, if this team is serious about winning, you can't let James Conner go. Now, that brings us into our next topic of discussion here. as we pivot from James temporarily, Bo Brock, and we look at who could be next for a contract extension, and it goes to the defensive side of the football. Bo, I'm going to ask you point blank, do you believe Austin Ford and Company got this deal done expedited so that they could focus their sights set on one safety, Budda Baker?
I mean, I think it's checking boxes, right? They have what their to-do list before they want to get to, March and when free agency and when they start to kind of put together their draft board, and to have a couple things already set for their roster going in with an eye on 2025, and they prioritize James Conner. I fully believe that. And like what I was saying earlier, I think that the running back market kind of put up an easy path to Conner and the Cardinals coming and finding even footing as far as what he deserves and what they want to pay. I still don't know if that's there as far as Budda Baker, where he is in his career. He'll be 29 going into the offseason. The safety position is not a market that's really recorrected itself. You don't know what you pay safeties that are, hitting 29, 30 years old. And you just don't know like how much you're willing to invest in a non-premium position. I think it's still a little bit murkier waters as far as trying to negotiate an extension with Budda Baker. But I get the sense, just based on how he's played and how huge he is for the defense, how he is kind of that counterpart to James Conner on this defense, that should be next. But there's a couple other guys that you're looking to keep because you're white. You're looking to keep guys like maybe Will Hernandez. I know he went down with the ACL, with the knee injury. You got to figure out, who you're going to prioritize keeping. And I only have to imagine that Budda's next, that Budda's next. But I don't know if you're going to get any new information that's going to put you in a position to make that deal happen really before, the clock is close to hitting midnight as far as NFL free agency. I hope so. I think that both sides are willing to do so, but Budda Baker's agent is like, as far as getting big time deals for safeties, that's his MO. So I don't know if he's willing to kind of give as much, even if his client is like wants to end his career here. I think he's going to try to get Budda that next maybe final big contract of his career.
Would you believe that maybe the franchise tag is in play? Like I couldn't tell you what the franchise tag is off the top of my head for the safety position. Antoine Winfield at 26 years old for the Tampa Bay, Antoine Winfield Jr., highest paid safety, about $21 million a year. Yeah. So that if you're looking at a franchise tag for Budda, I guess like what is worth it if you're the Cardinals to have one more year of Budda Baker? I do think, having Budda and James throughout the rest of this kind of tenure is now pivotal for what they want to do and accomplish. It can only help Budda Baker to get this James Conner deal done because it's clearly identified outside of Trey McBride, who's not a free agent, but does need a new contract, and you can do that at any time. There is no other priority free agent for the Arizona Cardinals to re-sign. Would you agree with that? So you look at James is done. You had to get that done. Then you look defensively. It's really Budda Baker, and then, if you want to mix in an Evan Brown or somebody like that, like, to me, if I'm Budda Baker, I'm excited about this news because hopefully I'm next in line to get something done.
Yeah.
Like unlike though Budda, I think that, or unlike James, I also think you can sell the argument of we can play multiple defensive backs. Taylor Demerson's got position versatility. We'll figure out what to do with Jalen Thompson and maybe his contract. And maybe we can go to year there. Like there's so many different kind of chess pieces you can use with a backfield. Whereas offensively, you got one bell cow running back at a time. So I think the Cardinals can afford to splurge a little bit.
Yeah, they can. And it's like Budda, I don't think is going to command a 4-year deal. I think they understand that, where he is in his career. Is it going to be in line with James? Could you tack on a third year just because he hasn't hit the age of 30? I think that's possible. When you're looking at the projected franchise tenders going into 2025, safety, it's just going to come in right around $19.5 million. So you'd be locking in, and that'd be about a $5 million raise on top of what, Budda is making this season. I mean, I don't know if you want to go down that. Do you want to use it as a placeholder and then, work out a deal, an extension between March and when you have to tag him and the deadline to get an extension done in July, possibly. I mean, I think that it's going to be that kind of tough of a negotiation to kind of figure out where this position is, how the league views it. But maybe the Cardinals have a good idea of what they want to pay, and you know, maybe Budda and his representation understand what they're willing to sign for in order to keep him a Cardinal for life.
Budda Baker, again, poised for, I think it'll be his 4th straight trip to the Pro Bowl this year. And so he's going to have a lot of ammunition.
He's already there.
Yeah, we would assume so. And again, like, as beneficial as this contract is for James Conner, I think it's equally as beneficial for Budda Baker. I think it puts him to the front of the list. Let's get to the super chat here. Tyler P, $6.99. Outside of his leadership, I don't understand the Kazir White love affair. Wow. Last season, he had a 58.9 PFF. This season, 52.1 PFF. Am I missing something? I think his PFF grade is bigger than the sum of his parts for the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals value what he's able to do calling the defense. I would look at Tyler, the fact that the defense is excelling with him as the captain in the middle of that defense, and say, that's what we need from that position. Don't worry about gaudy numbers.
Yeah, I don't think this team, I know Monty Ossenfort, I know Jonathan Gannon, Nick Rollis, they don't rely on the PFF grades really is their main way of seeing how guys are contributing, how they're making an impact. I think that his impact, it transcends, you know, the grading system there. I think he did have a slow start this season. But he does do a lot of dirty work for this defense that goes unnoticed. You're not going to see big time tackle numbers. You're not going to see big TFLs, but I think he steadies the ship a little bit as far as what they want to do, and especially calling that defense. But it is something is he going to probably see similar deal that he signed when he came here? Is he due for a pay raise? I think that's something that they'll have to look into. It doesn't help that your defensive coordinator named his kid after you. I mean, that probably gives Kazir a little bit of leverage, knowing how much, you know, the team loves him. But yeah, I don't think Kazir is one of those guys that's he's not going to be, you know, the Fred Warner darling of PFF grades. It's just not going to happen. But is your defense going to be able to operate and make plays with him on the field? Yeah, absolutely. I think he's big in what they're doing and big in the develop of young players on every level.
Everybody drop a like on this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Emergency podcast here. Myself, Bo Brock, Budda Baker could be next in line. James Conner, he is in line, and he's got his extension, 2 years, $19 million. We're breaking that down and more right around the corner here on PHNX Cardinals. Speaking of right around the corner, how about mañana tomorrow? We're going to be live at Wild Horse Pass, early kickoff, which means early watch party, hanging out, lounge at the AAA Four Diamonds Resort, and let relaxation take charge. Bo Brock, you're going to be in Minnesota, taking off in just a couple hours. Walk me through what's your itinerary like here coming up today?
Just gonna hang low, pack, and then hit the airport. Just take off 7:55, get into Minneapolis around midnight, and then I just try to stay alive in the sub-zero temperatures there. And then go to the game tomorrow, 11 o'clock local time here, and then head back tomorrow night. So that's my itinerary. Pretty exciting stuff.
That is exciting. I like my day a little bit better. Driving down to Wild Horse Pass Casino for our watch party. We're going to have watch parties there all year long. Cards, Suns, away games. Stay tuned for more information, but it is tomorrow. We got an 11 o'clock kickoff. Watch party, I think, starts about a half an hour beforehand. So come out, get your seat. Let's have some fun. We're going to get live hits from Bo in Minnesota throughout the course of the day, pregame and postgame show. Myself, Britton Golden, Damon Dog. How about a little Craig Morgan action? Going to be at Wild Horse Pass tomorrow. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit us at play@gila.com, Bo, for more details.
It's huge. Just like the extension of James Conner. Maybe you can take some of that money, put it towards a nice new vehicle from our friends over at Sanderson Ford. Do you think he's a truck guy? You think he's a big-time truck guy? Maybe get himself into one of these Ford F-150s, one of the nice trim packages. you got to check them out right now. I mean, of course, Black Friday was yesterday, but the deals continue throughout the weekend over at Sanderson Ford. It's our official vehicle partner over at PHNX Sports. And those Black Friday sales continue. You got the 70 years in Glendale, Arizona under their belt, over 500 employees that take care of their customers with their no hassle, no pressure, no nonsense sales approach. Why don't you get into a new 2024 F-150 truck, 3.9 APR financing for 66 months, plus up to $4,000 cash back. Similar savings on the over 900 new and pre-owned vehicles on the lot. Plus, you get an additional $1,000 Amazon gift card where you get a Bronco, Mach-E, Lightning. How about Ford F-150 Expedition, Black Friday, Saturday and Sunday and Monday. You got to check that out. Don't miss at Sanderson Ford the Black Friday thank you sale. All offers expire December 2nd, so you still have time. Get over there. See our guy Ron and the incredible sales staff over at Sanderson Ford.
Everybody drop a like on this video. We got 700 people watching. We need 700 likes here to celebrate an extension. Look at that smoldering Bo Brock there. That's worth a like in and of itself. But we're fired up. Let's get to some of your super chats. How about this from Nick? Just came in, $4.99. First ever super chat for me. Well, welcome. Thank you so much, Nick, for the support of the program on that level. But I've been a fan for a while. I feel like the only North Carolina Cards fan, but listening to you guys helps. Well, Nick, we appreciate you, my brother. Thank you for your support. All the way on the East Coast, Bo's stomping grounds out on the East Coast. And we hope that this isn't your last live show, my friend.
Yeah, Nick, thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you so much for being such a loyal viewer, listener. Look, we love everybody that interacts in the chat, but we also love those who are just quietly watch the show, enjoy the show. But for you to make your first super chat, we always love to hear from everybody. North Carolina, North Kakalaki might be making the trip out there right before Christmas for the Cardinals to take on the Panthers in Charlotte. So I'd hit you up, Nick, if we're making I know Craig's making the trip. Hopefully I'll be able to tag along as the Cardinals continue to maybe chip away at a playoff spot late into the season.
Never need anything more than that. How about this? James Conner, do you think he's due for a big game tomorrow? So this extension comes at a very apropos time where James Conner, pretty quiet last couple of weeks. The former, because they pulled him from the Jets game. I go back to 3 weeks ago before the bye. Remember, it was Trey Benson's big game, 10 for 62. James had a modest 12 for 33, but then they said, you know what, James, take a leg off. The Jets are horrendous. We got this. And then last week, probably one of his most modest outings is at Arizona Cardinal, 7 for 8 against producer Shane's precious Seattle Seahawks. I think, is this apropos to say, okay, I don't care what the Minnesota Vikings do defensively. I don't care how great their run defense is. Is James Conner now poised for a big game after this contract extension? I'm going to say, yes, he is.
It's imperative to get that balance for this offense to operate at its highest level. And that's what they're going to need going up against the 9-2 Vikings team. But all the things that they talk about as far as how Minnesota likes to disguise what they're doing on defense at before the snap, just being able to hand the ball off and run the ball with James Conner can combat a lot of that. And Minnesota thrives on turnovers, thrives on interceptions, first in the league with 16 of those. And way to not put the ball in harm's way is not going up against a ton of guys in the defensive secondary. Maybe James Conner can make the Vikings stack the box a little bit, but they're going to have to. They're going to have to get the run game going. It can't look at all like it did against the Seahawks last week. And, he still had he still went over 100 yards from scrimmage in the Jets game. It was just more in the receiving game. And I think that's really what they love to see from Conner that I don't think you got yet. You couldn't have from Trey Benson at this stage in his career, just to be able to find and be that safety valve in the pass game. Like against the Bears and the Jets, it's at times just dump the ball off to him on a nice little RB reception, and he would make a play. And I don't know. I think that just comes with experience and being able to diagnose what the defense is doing, and James can do that.
Let's talk about Trey Benson and like kind of the hierarchy now of the running back room. This is James Conner's room. And I think there's a lot of people. Remember, we did like how many preview shows coming into the season? 100, right? Between the two of us. And the most common denominator for fantasy enthusiasts was, when will Trey Benson take over for James Conner? Is it like week 2? Is it week 4? And I was incorrect where I thought Michael Carter would still be RB2 on this team. But I think we were all lockstep in agreement. James Conner is the guy until he's not the guy. And when he's not the guy, he's not on the team anymore. As long as James Conner is on the team, he's going to be RB1. And we've seen that. But that does not mean that Trey Benson, I think back to James Conner, Chase Edmonds a couple years ago, and the 60-40, 65-35 split. I think the Cardinals would benefit from that. I think James Conner would benefit from that. Something we didn't touch on earlier, maybe you did and I missed it. James Conner's game, I think, has aged very well, where he's not overly dependent on maybe his agility in the open field and speed. He is a power runner. And I brought up Otis Anderson for people in the chat that didn't know. He's the all-time Cardinal leading rusher. He went out, he was a first-round pick out of Miami. He's a tremendous player for the Cardinals. Then he went and won a Super Bowl with the Giants. Well, how did he do that? He was a power runner with the Giants, right? Late in his career. He had a lot of miles on his tires. James Conner's the same way, whereas he can run in between the tackles. He can get those dirty yards on first and second down. Trey Benson, I think we both agree, Bo, you've seen it firsthand, has been close to popping a couple recently. And we saw that top-end speed out of the ACC at Florida State. Like, there is your best kind of thunder and lightning combination. DeMarcado also has that ability. So James Conner is your dirty in-between-the-tackle player. And then I think Trey Benson, who has done a better job scoring up his shoulders in recent weeks, has that big play potential.
Yeah, and look, somebody like James Conner is necessary to success for guys who are more, not finesse, but more speed. Yeah. He can wear down a defense. And if you have James Conner delivering, punishing blow after punishing blow, putting especially defensive backs into the dirt like he often does, I mean, they're going to be less apt to get in there and make the tackle, no matter who's carrying the football, a little bit later in the game. Johnny, one of the things that's lost on James Conner is his leadership qualities and how he, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, him and Kyler kind of leading the charge, being the longest tenured guys that kind of are pushing the Jonathan Gannon process and kind of helping usher in this new era of Cardinals football. Like we saw in the offseason, Kyler Murray foot the bill to take all his playmakers to Los Angeles to work out off campus, take a field trip before training camp to gear up for the upcoming season. And, Kyler drops the vlog and we all see this. And who's kind of the one that's rallying the guys after a night out, getting a nice dinner, wearing dress clothes to get in another workout at like 1 a.m. in the morning? I asked, Michael Wilson and the guys and Greg Dortch, like, who did that? They're like, it's all James Conner. He's the guy. He's the guy that's really kind of, he's baiting these guys. He's doing whatever possible to get these guys to buy in, to put in as much work as they possibly can that's not harmful to their bodies to get ready for the haul that is the NFL football season. And like Kyler Murray's right there with him, but also have somebody like James Conner who commands the respect that he does. It's so important to have it in the locker room and to just let that potentially walk. The Cardinals realize how detrimental that could be to their future success.
We talked a lot about Kyler Murray, his state with this franchise, the questions about his maturity, his leadership, and whether or not you want to admit like he's turned a corner, he's a new player. Like I always think he's always been a leader, but he's been able to articulate and emphasize that leadership in new and different facets that I think have very much helped him. And a lot of that has come, in my opinion, from James Conner and the time that he spent with James Conner. We think back, we've told this story, hundreds of times, and you guys saw it on air. We were at Super Bowl week here in Arizona, and a lot of Cardinals were made available to the media that week. And Bo and I, PHNX Sports, ALLCITY, we had a booth, and we would bring on ex-Cardinals, and it was easy for guys like Patrick Peterson to make digs, and all the national guys wanted to come on the show and rip Kyler Murray. And the couple constants that day were headlined by James Conner joining us, Bo Brock, and talking about his relationship with Kyler Murray and the time that he puts in. And this was fresh off K1 tearing his ACL.
Yeah.
And you had number 6 being one of the few stalwarts that was a carryover from the old regime, Gannon had not even been hired yet, and there was James Conner doing, the football lord's work for his franchise quarterback. You don't think Kyler Murray had forgotten about what James Conner said and did in support of him when he's on crutches, the time, the effort he puts in? Like that's the kind of stuff that will be forged for a lifetime of relationships. And so if you can go back and look at that interview, James Conner was one of the few, when it was a popular opinion to rip Kyler Murray, James Conner was on our show talking about how he can win Super Bowls. Nobody works harder. The narratives are wrong. And I think he's been proven right tenfold.
Absolutely. That interview certainly stood out to me as well. And we've talked to James a couple of times since then, including another stop at the Super Bowl last year. But for him to reinforce the positive qualities from their franchise quarterback when it was not in vogue to do so, I think was so important. And we talked to Rondale Moore. It was good to hear, nice things from Rondale Moore for his quarterback at the time. It was good to hear from Zach Ertz, who we talked to as well. But, Zach Ertz was already over 30 years old, and Rondale Moore, you couldn't convince anybody that his future was going to be much longer in the Valley, even at that point. So when it came from a guy that we knew was revered as much and respected as much as James Conner, and he didn't have any kind of true skin in the game, like he could go get a contract tomorrow elsewhere, or for him to go and go to bat and go to war for his quarterback and continue to beat the same drum over and over, it resonates more. Like, people are like, okay, well, maybe they do have it wrong about this guy. This guy works with him, and this is one of the hardest workers, in the organization. Nobody can debate that. So to hear that coming from James Conner, I think opened a lot of eyes and ears to help change the narrative to more of the correct one, more of a accurate one for Kyler Murray.
Everybody hit that like button, diving into some more super chats. We appreciate everybody. Almost 800 people watching combined here on a Saturday morning emergency podcast. Whiskey Motorsports 199. Ball beat the Panthers game. Red Sea take over.
Oh. Probably got a good deal on those tickets, even though the Panthers are hot, Johnny. The Panthers are
my Panthers.
Yeah, they are your Panthers. They're in their quarterback, Bryce Young, making some good throws, pushing the limits. Terrible. Yeah. So I'll let you know if we're gonna be in NC for that game. We will have, of course, as we have at every road game, PHNX Cardinals there. But excited that's got to be a dub there in Charlotte. I don't care how good the Panthers are playing.
That feels like a James Conner day. Bo's digested steak. Love this one. Look at this avatar. 199. Look at that handsome boy, fresh off a dub in Miami. Connor's gonna stuff Byron Murphy like he did Pat Peterson, Bo.
Oh, I'd love to see it. Respect for B. Murph, but at the same time, he left in free agency. And if James Conner can deliver some punishment to let him know he made a mistake, let's see it. That Pat Peterson, where he just shoved him, into outer space. He stiff-armed in outer space was an all-time moment for JC and the Cardinals in that statement win against the Steelers.
I'm going to bring something up here. So these are the score predictions for tomorrow. I'm the only person on this podcast, our phenomenal beat reporter, a writer at GoPHNX.com, Craig Morton, producer Damon, and Bo, all picking the Cardinals to lose. I've got the Cardinals to win. After this extension, I feel even better about it. Are you liable to update your prediction based off this news, Bo Brock?
Look, I love your passion. I love your optimism.
Oh,
I do.
Here comes disingenuous Bo.
I want the Cardinals to win. I absolutely do. But I'm looking at, everything that plays into this. The offense would have to make some major corrections, including James Conner in that running game. And they're capable of doing so. But they're going up against the top rushing defense in the league. They'd really have to buck some trends. So, look, I'll let you be the little beacon of hope here for Cardinals fans, and I'll just kind of be the one that's happy he's wrong. Hopefully by the end of tomorrow.
I've never felt better about my prediction, especially after this. And again, you want to start exercising demons. Cardinals haven't won in Minnesota since 1977. I think they win tomorrow. I like the Cards money line, which is now 1+150 with our friends at Bet365. You might as well
it's like getting having an entire trial play out, and all the evidence is presented, and all the signs point to guilty, and then the non-guilty verdict is delivered out of nowhere. I mean, like, all the evidence is pointing to a loss. It is, but look, if we can figure it, if the DNA can just exonerate everybody, let's hope that's what the Cardinals do tomorrow.
1977 was only a great year because what movie debuted at #1 at the box office that year, Bo Brock?
Was it Jaws?
Oh my God! Come on!
What was
Come on!
Encounters of the Third Kind. Close Encounters.
I'm quitting the show now. May of 1977, the greatest film, the second greatest film that it's ever been produced. Not Nerd.
The Godfather?
No, the original Star Wars debuted that year, and I cannot believe that same year the Cardinals, the only time in recent history, beat the Vikings on the road. It was in November 6th, 1977. Gannon's exercising demons with K1 every week.
It's incredible to me that you just rattle off the top, and that you are a married man with children. That's some of a member of females were like, this guy with all that Star Wars knowledge, he's the one. There you go.
Then I start doing my Costco dance. Faith, family, cards, Star Wars. Maybe just family.
Running out of fingers there. Yeah.
I got just a couple. Have a hand. Everybody drop a like on this video. I love the Cardinals tomorrow. Come on, nerd. Nerd culture is accepted now. If you're not into nerd culture, some of us feel like you might be the nerd. You might be on the outs. The French execution by guillotine was also in 1977. Oh, that's a fun fact. Thanks, Ben. Those are fun.
The last one. Huh?
Let's see here. Fishbowl
it's
Flash.
The French guillotine to this show is Johnny dropping his Star Wars knowledge. It just lobs the head off.
This is just like Luke doing the trench run against the Death Star. That's James Conner. Boy, oh no, I've been taken off the show. I thought I had my crap Wi-Fi this morning. I apologize. Every 10-year-old with an Xbox is knocking me off the internet this morning here. Don't knock us off. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Like this video. And Bo, if you haven't checked out, I know you have, Craig Morgan's work at gophnx.com. Not one, not two, but 3 banger articles, including a Darius Robinson piece about his late mother. I would recommend, in all seriousness, everybody go check that out right now. It is a tremendous piece. It is absolutely worth your time here on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, and he added last second when the Connor extension news came out, he added kind of a by the numbers as far as how good JC has been since joining the Arizona Cardinals in 2021. And you're like, it's eye-popping, some of the stats that are there. We went over a couple of them today. Highly encourage you to go check it out in his Cardinals Vikings preview at gophnx.com. And of course, him and the entire Sun Devils crew, Wildcats crew, are going to have all the coverage today from the Territorial Cup, the Duel in the Desert down there in Tucson. So Jules and Andy want to know if D-Rob are going to play tomorrow. This show is very confident D-Rob will make his debut tomorrow.
I'm confident the best deals you can find this Black Friday extravaganza weekend can be found at store.allcitynetwork.com. Let's see it, up to 75% off, 30% off the entire store, but emphasis on the major discounts. There's a shirt right now. It's a Vibe shirt. Tremendous. If you're into tie-dye, which I am, I think it's like under $10. It's like $9 right now. You can revamp your wardrobe with All City, PHNX, maybe PHNX Cardinals gear. Why wouldn't you do that? And listen, I'm rocking the lids that are at the bottom of the screen. Bo Brock's got one of my favorite t-shirts on, the Math tee right now. And then how about our friends at Branded Bills? Tremendous work on these debut hats. So here's what we do at PHNX Sports. We debut hats like this, and then we immediately mark them down 30% off, Bo.
Yeah, it's a bold strategy. I don't know if it's going to work out for us in the end, because hopefully people go to the store.allcitynetwork.com and gobble up those hats. It's an unbelievable collaboration and just getting started. We can't wait to see what else comes out from our partnership with Branded Bills, local company. Those are some fantastic hats. The one in the middle, the flag hat, I've got to have it. Already ordered it and saved 30%. Fishbowl Flash, thank you, PHNX Cardinals. Great show. Thank you so much for everybody on a Saturday morning, taking some time out of your day on a holiday weekend and joining us to talk some Cardinals football. It's going to be a full weekend of Cards football, Johnny. It really is, starting tomorrow.
Yep. Pre-game, halftime, post-game, hopefully from a Cardinals upset dub. We're going to be live from Gila River Resorts. Bo Brock's going to be doing hits. If you're not subscribed to PHNX Sports yet, what are you doing? Plus, if you're not a diehard yet, I know Bo's going to be dropping some exclusive diehard Discord goodies throughout his travel to Minnesota right now. Become a diehard. Pick up a free shirt every single time you're a diehard. And I'm going to tell you right now, no better combo than a free shirt as a member of our diehard community and then dabbling on a Black Friday. But Bo, I'm excited to watch from afar the stuff, the exclusive nuggets you're dropping in the Discord, behind the scenes, your journey to Minnesota, and then hopefully pregame, postgame, halftime, Cards getting a dub tomorrow.
Come along with me. Come on, let's go. Let's travel to Minneapolis together. We'll jump in the middle seat. It'll be pretty crowded there, but you'll be there the entire trek for myself and then the way back. I see Logan saying he's watching from work. That's fantastic. Thank you, Jess.
Love it. Love that energy.
Johnny hopes to see you out at the watch party per usual tomorrow. Gila River Resorts and Casinos at Wild Horse Pass. Thank you, Andy. Fishbowl Flash continues to hold the line. I was talking to Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings last night. Johnny did a little supplemental content. He thinks Marv could have a big game against this defense. He's a big believer in what the Vikings do. He thinks that Marv over the middle could get some good looks against this defense for some chunk yardage.
It would feed families. I've never needed anything more. Let's get Marv doing his best Randy Moss Vikings impression in Minneapolis
like
tomorrow.
Thanksgiving Day, like 3 catches for 3 touchdowns and 100.
I'm going to make a prediction right now. Not only does Marv have a big day, I think he makes a miraculous one-handed catch tomorrow. That's like all over social media. I think we're going to get a vintage Marv game. I think it's going to be a good day for Cardinal fans. I've had that feeling all week, and I'm not going to. This is only keeping the good vibes going with this Connor extension, Bo.
Yeah. Big thank you to our producer, Shane Diefenbach, who put together this entire show. Produced.
We love you, Shano.
Start to finish, and including some of the stuff behind the scenes. Thank you, Shane. Go Devils for you. And everybody tune into all the coverage today. Make sure you're subscribed to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Thank you so much to everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll talk to you tomorrow here on PHNX Cardinals.
We all silly like the mayor.